We call the meeting to order. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Got me.
Okay, good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Westminster Mayor and Common Council. Council meets here at City Hall on the second and fourth Monday of every month. Please note that the council meetings, although open to the public here at City Hall, are also available and streamed live on the city's YouTube page, as well as the Community Media Channel, Community Media Center channel and website. As a courtesy to everyone, please take a moment and make sure that your cell phone is silenced or any other electronic devices you might have that might interrupt the meeting. Thank you very much. And now we'll begin, as we do every meeting, with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Copies of tonight's agenda and the entire information packet that the council will be using are available online at the city's website, and I believe copies are available here in the front of the room if you'd like to have a copy, those of you in attendance. Okay, the first order of business this evening will be our closed meeting of April 15th. And in accordance with the general provisions of Article Section 3-306, subsection C, subsection 2 of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and without objection, it is noted that the minutes of tonight's meeting reflect the Common Council met in a closed meeting on Monday, April 15th, 2024 at 5:19 p.m. pursuant to the General Code, Article Section 3-305B, subsection 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and subsection B8 to consult with staff, consultants, other individuals about pending or potential litigation. The following staff members were in attendance at the meeting: City Barber, Director of Recreation and Parks Gruber, City Administrator Impulse, Director of Technology Services Moore, the attorney, Attorney Ramsey, and the Common Council took action at this meeting, and the meeting was closed and adjourned at 5:34 p.m. So without any objection, that is entered into the record. Now we will move on to presentations. We have 4 of them this evening. 3 of them are proclamations by the mayor, and then 1 is from our auditors. Madam Mayor, do you want to do all 3 at one time, or do you want me to call each one out?
I would like to do all 3 at one time.
Have at it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Barber, do you want to accept the preservation?
That would be Director Depot.
Oh, Mr. Depot. Good to see you. Please have a seat. Okay, so May is National Historic or National Preservation Month. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth and sustainable development, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And everyone has places that are important to them, places they care about, places that matter. People Saving Places is a national campaign of the National Trust for Historic Preservation that encourages people to celebrate the places that are meaningful to them and their communities. And it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Mona Becker, Mayor of the City of Westminster, do proclaim May 2024 as National Preservation Month in the City of Westminster and call upon the people of Westminster to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing and participating in this special observance. Adopted this 22nd day of April, 2024. Congratulations for managing the historical. Right. Would you like to say anything?
No, not at all. I think the proclamation says it all.
I did spend some time tramping around St. John's Catholic Cemetery this afternoon, looking for a grave site, so I think I fulfilled some preservation this afternoon. All right, Mr. Barber. Mr. Barber is our amazing municipal clerk. Watches out for all of us. So this proclamation is for the 55th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week, May 5th through 11th, 2024. Whereas the office of professional municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And the office of the professional municipal clerk is the oldest profession among public servants. And the office of professional municipal clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And professional municipal clerks continually strive to enhance professional development through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meeting of their state, county, and international professional organizations. And it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Mona Becker, Mayor of the City of Westminster, on behalf of the Common Council, recognize the week of May 5th, 2024 through May 11th, 2024 to be Professional Municipal Clerk Week in Westminster. And further extend our appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Douglas Barber, and to all the professional municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Adopted this 22nd day of April 2024. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, I can personally vouch that Mr. Barber not only fulfills everything that is in this proclamation, but goes well above.
Thank you.
All right. Very nice. Chief. The last proclamation is for Peace Officers Memorial Day and National Police Week. Whereas a joint resolution approved on October 1st, 1962, Congress designated May 15th of each year as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week during which May 15th occurs as National Police Week. And there are more than 900,000 sworn law enforcement officers now serving in the United States, including the dedicated members of the Westminster Police Department. And since the first recorded police death in 1791, over 24,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty. And the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. And this year, 282 names will be added to the Law Enforcement Memorial in honor of fallen officers in 2023 and the past. And National Police Week draws approximately 40,000 attendees to join together in various services throughout the week in honoring the men, women, and canines that have died as heroes. And now, therefore, I, Dr. Mona Becker, Mayor of the City of Westminster, in conjunction with the Common Council, do hereby proclaim May 12th as a National Police Week and May 15th, 2024 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in the City of Westminster. Adopted this 22nd day of April, 2024. Thank you, Chief. Thank you for everything. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Much like our municipal clerk who goes above and beyond his duties, I would say the same thing, the police chief, as well as every department head that we have.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Okay, our next order of business is a presentation from our auditors, SB and Company LLC. for the city's fiscal year 23 audit. Take it away.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Seymour. I'm the engagement partner with SB and Company. I have with me Renata Reese, who's the engagement manager. And this represents our required communications under generally accepted auditing standards as well as our firm standards. I have a presentation. We'll walk through it fairly high level. Please feel free to stop me with any questions that you may have. To start with our scope of services, an audit of the June 30, 2023 financial statements, the performance of uniform guidance, that is a single audit, that is a federal grant compliance audit. That goes along with it, submission of the data collection form that takes the information in the single audit and puts it in a fit and format for the federal government. Certain agreed upon procedures related to HUD and the Assessment React Center. Assistance, we provide limited assistance with drafting the financial statements. Additionally, we reviewed the uniform financial report that takes your financial statements and puts it in a fit and format for the Maryland Department of Legislative Services, as well as working with management on a year-round basis. The results of our audit, we've issued an unmodified, or if you will, clean opinion on the financial statements. That's the best opinion that we are allowed to issue under generally accepted auditing standards. Additionally, we issued an unmodified opinion on the uniform guidance single audit. We did not discover any instances of fraud. I would caution our audit is not a fraud audit. That would be different in scope. However, audit standards as well as our firm standards require that we maintain a healthy skepticism for fraud, look for fraud in the areas that we tested, and through those limited procedures, we did not find any instances of fraud. We discovered no material weaknesses in internal controls. However, we did note one significant deficiency that was a carryover from the prior year audit related to internal controls over financial reporting. Some staffing challenges that occurred during the course of the year. And then from an audit perspective, just kind of put some flavor on this. Once a deficiency is noted, in order to clear that deficiency, you almost have to be perfect. So coming in, we're not able, and plus, when you go and you find out about that 9 months after year end, as the close of last year's audit was at that time, you have 9 months of the year that it wasn't rectified. So we kind of get tied into it. But we're working with management. We believe that the changes have been made. Aside from some timing items, we were able to get all the information that we needed to complete the audit. So we're hopeful that next year that will go away. We did have 2 compliance findings related to the single audit, but those were considered control deficiencies and not significant. However, in a single audit, the auditor does not get to apply any judgment. If something is missing, unfortunately, we have to say that it's missing. And those were the nature of those 2 findings. This is a pictorial of our audit approach. The idea behind this audit approach is that we plan the audit, we spend time to understand where the risks of material misstatement are. We look at how management has designed and operated controls. That's both assessing the design as well as testing the operating effectiveness of those controls. And then performance of various analytical procedures, substantive procedures, audit standard required items. And what the idea is that this process garners us sufficient evidence to be able to issue that unmodified opinion. So we look at controls at 2 levels. One is at the control environment. We follow the COSO model of internal controls. That is the 5 interrelated components of the environment: risk assessment, the specific control activities, information and communication, and monitoring. In all cases, our assessment was effective here. Then we dive down a little bit deeper into the underlying key processes and those functions. And you can see, as I mentioned earlier, we have the finding related to financial reporting, but the other areas that we looked at, we thought were effective. We did have 2 findings with grants that there, both of which I believe have already been addressed, and we will have those go away next year. The single audit, we tested 2 major programs, the Housing Choice Voucher Program, as well as the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund or the ARPA funds for the year. Total awards for the year were just over $10.1 million. We tested 99% of that, or $10,064,000. As I mentioned, no material weaknesses, so a fairly good single audit. On here, we've provided a high-level financial overview. This is at the entity-wide level for the city of Westminster. Through the course of our audit, we had no difficulties getting to numbers. There was no areas that lacked evidence or lacked authoritative guidance that we were otherwise would be required to bring to your attention. You can see here on an overall basis, going from 22 to 23, our net position, if you will, i.e. like our retained earnings, has grown by about $15 million year over year. And that's comprised of this statement that drives, you can see where our total revenue was up $6 million versus our expenses only being up $3 million, which contributed to that $15 million income for the year on an entity-wide basis for both governmental and business type activities. Once again, no items of significant concern or otherwise that would be required to bring to your attention. The remainder of our presentation, I'll just summarize this. This is all the detail that if we would have had problems in the audit, if we would have had items that lacked authoritative guidance, if we would have had disagreements with management, if there were areas that were just barely acceptable from an accounting perspective, if we would have had lots of journal entries, if we would have had problems, we would be required to bring those to your attention. We really have none of those items to bring to your attention other than items that I have mentioned earlier. I want to thank Teresa and her staff for getting us all the information. You know, when an audit, audit is not the first thing that's on, the to-do list. I thank Eric for all of his help in getting us information. It's not the first thing that's on somebody's list to be able to get it to us. And, management worked really hard to get us that. So we thank you guys both for that. And I'll stop there and see if there's any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Well, I'd like to say thank you very much. It was quite well done. Short to the point. All good news, it looks like, quite frankly. So that's wonderful. Thank you. And I love seeing that position increase versus decrease. It's always important.
Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor.
To echo Council President Kabachi's words, thank you very much. I am thrilled to hear that the collaboration with the staff was excellent. I know Mrs. Rogers is I don't want to say you're new to the city, but in terms of, going through these yearly processes, and we have had staff changes in the finance department. So when I went through the audit and your presentation, I was very happy to hear that it was as clean as it is. And so thank you very much.
Thank you
for your work on that.
So you guys have anything else?
Mr. President.
Yes.
Do we have a copy of
They
it?
gave it to us.
We got it at the work session.
Okay, it's in that. Okay, I didn't bring it with me.
Yeah.
I'll look at it.
Well,
Thank you for the presentation. Thank you.
do not feel obligated to stay for the rest of the meeting. You guys feel like you can do the rest of this. You can leave me out as soon as we're done.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
You're welcome. Tell me what you want. Yes, Ms. Impulse.
I just want to take a moment to thank our auditors. This is the first year of that contract, as you may remember. It's the auditing relationship is an important one. It's an important partnership. They need to remain independent, as they've indicated, but they also need to be partners to the city. And if that relationship is not there, then it's tough for many, many, many reasons. So I want to thank the auditors for their assistance and their patience. I also want to take a moment to thank Ms. Rogers and my team and her team. This is an enormous undertaking putting the audit together. There are many, 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 many questions that the auditors ask, and all of those require many, many, many documents. So I want to thank the team, Ms. Rogers, for putting that together. And again, thank you for your team as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll see you next year.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'd like to call this public meeting to, the public hearing to order. Time 7:20 p.m. This public hearing has been properly published in the Carroll County Times, meeting all state and Maryland requirements. Public hearing for annexation 79 Cross Creek Enterprises LLC and annexation number 24-02, a resolution of the city of Westminster enlarging the corporate boundaries by annexing into the city certain property containing plus or minus 0.6950 acres, contiguous and adjoining to the city's existing corporate boundaries, consisting of plus or minus 0.3144 acres of real property located at 411 Malcolm Drive, Westminster, Maryland, 21157. Also identified as SStat number 07-007884, tax map 046, grid 0015, parcel 0100, and plus or minus 0.3806 acres of state highway administration property containing a portion of Maryland Route 97, Malcolm Drive, and annexation plan resolution number 24-05, a resolution of the city of Westminster adopting the annexation plan for annexation 79. Is there anyone that would like to speak for the public hearing? If not, I will close this public hearing at 7:22.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a lot of reading there, a lot of
I
numbers.
almost wanted to make someone ask.
Glad you guys can do it. We're very fortunate to enjoy a wonderful relationship with McDaniel College. It's been close for a long time, but it's gotten particularly close here recently in the past couple of years. And they always send yes to our meetings, or almost always, and we're grateful to have Christine Warren, is that right? Vice President of Student Success here with us this evening. Do you have anything you'd like to say? Please feel free.
Good evening, thank you for having us. I'm happy to share an update from the college. We've started 2 new initiatives in partnership with the city. Mayor Becker wrote a welcome to Westminster letter that was included in all of our admissions and student day folders this spring. Thank you. Melissa Thorne from Economic Development sends our chief of staff monthly what's happening in Westminster list that we share with admissions to include in their email reminders from before prospective student families come to visit. So essentially it's a list of ideas to add to their itinerary for their upcoming visit to our college. Last week, the Center for Experience and Opportunity collaborated with several community partners to host a series of events branded as Innovation and Entrepreneurship Week. These workshops and opportunities culminated in McDaniel's 8th Annual Innovation and Entrepreneurship Challenge. We'd like to thank Rick Linebeck and Starter Portal, Joe Latico, Larry Wilner, Graham Dodge and Magic, Jennifer Yang and Covalent Spirits, Jason Stanball, Denise Beaver, Karen Zaccardi, and the team from Carroll Media Center for making the week a success. Campus community will be celebrating an Earth Day with a fair on Friday, again with many partners in the community. And we also wanted to share that the annual academic symposium will take place on Monday, April 29th, free and open to the public, and more information can be found on our McDaniel website. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I see you have a
Yeah.
PhD, so I apologize when I said this. Sorry about that. You worked hard to earn that. Absolutely.
I do want to say the letter, I have heard from some of my students at Westminster High School, as well as my brother and sister-in-law's friend's daughter who just accepted her position at McDaniel, that they have all been getting letters.
Great. So, yeah, we're excited. Thank you.
Yep. I offered to autograph it for them.
Very nice.
Mr.
Yes, Council.
Looking forward to the academics because it's always really good.
Oh,
I
wonderful.
really appreciate it.
Yes, yep, on Monday.
Wonderful. Okay, we'll go ahead and move forward with the minutes. We have 5 sets of minutes this evening that we need to approve. I'm gonna take them as a group. If anybody has anything they want to talk about, we can break those apart. We have the council meeting minutes of April 8th, 2024, council work session minutes of April 8th, 2024, the council work session of April 15th, 2024, the council special mayor and common council meeting of April 15th, 2024, and a common council closed session meeting of April 15th, 2024. Let's get a motion to approve on the table. If there needs to be discussion after that, we can do that. So would someone like to make a motion to approve the 5 sets of minutes?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the 5 sets of
Thank you,
minutes.
And I'll
Councilman.
second it.
Councilman Jay Huff with the second. Is there any discussion related to the minutes in terms of any corrections, additions, deletions, or anything? If not, I'll go ahead and ask for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes as written, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are no opposed. The motion passes. We'll now move on to the consent calendar. There are 5 items on the consent calendar this evening. Does anyone have a motion to approve the consent calendar? Motion to approve. Mr. Jay Huff with the motion.
Second.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gilbert. With the second, any discussion related to the consent calendar? Hearing none, we'll move forward to the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion, the consent calendar is passed. We'll move on to report from the mayor. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Wednesday, April 10th, I, along with several council members, cheered on nearly 600 runners for the 31st annual Main Street Mile. Afterwards, I presented medals in several categories at the Westminster Family Fitness Center, where I was joined by council member Kevin Dayhoff. The next event, in between that event and the wine stroll, we have been busy with committee meetings, work sessions, and daily things that we all work with in the city. But the next event was a wine stroll on Saturday, stellar weather, awesome music, energetic crowds. Thank you to all the staff in the departments who helped out with the event. There were 2 items that really showed me that we know how to properly do events in the city of Westminster that occurred that day. One was a woman approached me about halfway through the day and thanked me for the police presence during the day at the event. She had stated she always feels safe in the city of Westminster, but also noticed all the Westminster Police Department officers on duty throughout the day on Saturday. And so, Chief, I wanted to let you know that that was noticed.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for leading our phenomenal police department. The second item is actually comes from myself. During the entire day, and I was there from about 10:30 to after 4, I never saw a trash can overflowing, or I never saw trash on Main Street. And I thanked Mr. Strasberg that day when I saw him, but I also wanted to mention it this evening so I could get this on the public record. I've attended numerous events, as I'm sure everyone has, and in fact, almost all the other events I have been at, by mid-event, trash cans are overflowing, trash is on the ground, it's flying around in the wind. And that did not happen at all on Saturday. Even when it got a little breezy halfway through the day, there was not trash on Main Street. And for the number of people we had on Main Street that day, that was fantastic. And so thank you for leading that department, Mr. Strasberg. It does not go unnoticed, all the work put in, and please express my thanks in regards to the employees of the streets department. There are 2 upcoming events that I'm excited about. I just want to mention on Friday, April 26th is the City Nature Hunt event at Wakefield Valley from 4 to 6:30 p.m. The weather looks pretty good. There's also going to be a second tree planting during that time to celebrate Arbor Day. There was a tree planting earlier today as well. And then on Saturday, April 27th, there's a lot going on in the city that day. I'm just going to mention one event from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. is the city cleanup. We will meet at Locust Lane. Gloves and bags will be provided. And just as a reminder, we are competing against several other municipalities in Carroll County. And so the more the merrier for that day. And I will be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. We'll move on to report from the committees. We'll start off with Mr. Dayhoff, Arts Council.
No report, Mr.
Thank you very much. Economic and Community Development, Mr. Huff.
No report tonight.
Thank you very much. Finance Committee, Mr. Pecoraro is here this evening, same with Personnel Committee, so we'll move past both of those. Public Safety, I have a brief report. On April 9th, members of the Westminster Police Department participated in the second annual Child Abuse Prevention Walk at Dutterer Family Park. April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Not much worse there than child abuse, that's for sure. On April 18th, members of the Westminster Police Department attended the first annual lighting of the Way for Survivors Vigil at Belgrove Square. April is also Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. The Westminster Police Department participates in a multidisciplinary team in Carroll County consisting of law enforcement, the state's attorney's office, our partners at Caring Healing Center, Springboard Community Services, and the Carroll County Health Department and the Carroll Hospital Center regarding sexual violence and human trafficking investigations that involve both formal and informal collaboration. We are fortunate to have this here in this united effort here in our county, and I'm grateful for the participation from our officers in part of such an important endeavor as that unified effort. So thank you very much, Chief. Okay, we'll move on to Public Works Committee. Ms. Gilbert.
Oh, yes, the Public Works Department is in preparation mode for spring and summer events, as we just saw with our wonderful wine stroll. This includes mulching at the city administration building, stock sale property, constructing the snack shack at the community pool, and what we just finished seeing was the great support and preparation that was put into the wine stroll. We also want to thank, or at least I do personally, the Public Works Department for all their efforts in pulling off a successful wine stroll, because other than the Parks and Recs Department, I personally saw all of the folks, the Public Works, working diligently at booths beforehand. Like, they're just an integral part of having our events, and I want to say thank you to them. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gilbert. You go ahead and continue on Rec and Parks.
So Rec and Parks, again, wine stroll, huge success. I can't wait to get the numbers and hear the numbers of how many people are estimated to have been downtown. It was a beautiful day. There was no rain. So we all were extremely excited, as were the merchants. Wanted to thank the Public Works, Rec and Parks team for another successful event. We will be holding a grand opening of the community pool on Monday, May 13th at 11 a.m. Remind the community to purchase your family pool membership or individual pool membership and save 10% if it is purchased before April 30th. And reminder that the next event on tap is the Flower and Jazz Festival that will be May 11th.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gilbert. Technology Committee, Mr. Dayhoff.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to council comments. Mr. Dayhoff, you have any comments?
A couple, I attended the K-9 bingo with Officer Chinaki and Leo up at St. John Catholic Church. They raised money for our K-9 program, and that was a great success. Looking forward to the academic symposium. I always look forward to that. That's a great event. West Middle School their PTO is putting on an event this Saturday. And they've reached out to me for some history of the school and for some other details, and we're looking forward to a great event there. And I believe, Madam Mayor, you've been involved in that also.
Just through advertising.
Well, you've done a great job at advertising, and we really appreciate it. Councilwoman Ann Gilbert and I walked in the child abuse walk. We got some exercise. There were a number of things about the wine stroll that impressed me. Mr. Strasberg, I didn't know that your employees were such great servers. They were great hosts. That was great. And I echo the remarks of the mayor, because it was an extremely clean event considering how many folks were there. But the other thing that was really noticeable about the event is long after we reopened Main Street, many folks who visited the wine stroll stayed and they went to our stores and they went to our restaurants in town. That's exactly what it is that we want with those events. We have a meeting of the Memorial Day Parade coming up tomorrow. That committee is going to meet tomorrow. Memorial Day is coming up and we're working very diligently with the American Legion and the Westminster Cemetery on that. And I believe that's my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Mr. Mayhope, you mentioned something about West Middle. You said they were having an event and asked you for information, but you didn't actually say what the event is. As an alumni,
Oh, thank you.
I'm curious as to what it is.
Thank you. They're having sugar sheet.
It's a craft inventor show
Yeah,
Okay.
on Saturday.
they're having they're having a number of vendors there.
I thought it might have been something about the history.
Well, they asked me about the history of it.
I see.
Okay,
wonderful.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Gilbert.
I don't have too much. I'll just piggyback on everybody, and a little bit of my comments. This was the first time that I did not, participate in the wine stroll as, enjoying it per se, as far as tasting the wines and walking the streets. I worked and, volunteered in the domestics tent alongside a lot of the city employees and Kiwanis members and had a different perspective this year, which I think I'm gonna do again next year, because I really loved being a bartender. It's quite fun, it's quite enjoyable, I enjoyed talking to folks and seeing a whole different perspective on our events side. And again, just see a lot of the work that goes into the events, not just the fun. So I just want to thank everybody who, all the employees from all the different departments. And that's all.
Thank you very much. Mr. Huff.
Yes, I have a couple things to share. I want to very much share my appreciation to our state delegation, particularly Justin Reedy and April Rose, who have always been very helpful to us. But really, it's the whole delegation working together to help us in Annapolis. And I want to thank the members of our committee, the mayor and Greg, for going down to Annapolis several times and helping to advocate for us, as well as Neil, our lobbyist. So great job on everybody's front in that regard. I also wanted to share, we do a phenomenal, I mean, everybody's talking about it, but the wine stroll, one of the things I love so much about the strolls that we do in Westminster is we do such an awesome job. I have friends that come in from out of the Baltimore area, the DC area, and I love when they come here for the first time because they were just blown away by the quality of our strolls and how big they are and how well run they are. I can't hear that enough. And it's just so cool. And it is such a testament to the city, what the city has to offer. And quite frankly, our staff and everybody working together hard to kind of pull off these events. Because I don't think there is a city anywhere near our size that does these kind of events better than we do. And it's not just fun, it is a great, quite frankly, economic development activity because it brings everybody into town. It makes them see the town. It makes them more curious about Westminster. And I think that's great. The other thing I wanted to share is we had a planning and zoning commission meeting last Thursday. Our newest member, Jay Voigt, was there for the first time. I will share with you, this is my third year as ex officio on planning and zoning. At this point in time, I think we have the best planning and zoning commission I have been on in my 3 years. I have Jay Voigt, who has a wealth of knowledge. I have Tom Bear there, this wealth of knowledge. By the way, Mr. Bear was recently elected chairman at this meeting. So he is now the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission. But I know Mr. Depot's thrilled too, because I think we have a really great commission, which is great for the city as well. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huff, appreciate that. I'll just have two quick things. Number one, just echoing everyone else. I think the word that comes to mind for me and kind of dovetails with what Mr. Huff said. almost all of these strolls, I end up bringing friends from other communities, and I had a pretty good group of about 8 people from Annapolis, friends of ours that came up for the stroll. And I was very proud the entire time walking around our town. I think that's the word for me that strikes me most. I'm very proud of that event and the work that the staff puts into it to make it happen. So thank you very much, everybody, for all the hard work in making it such a wonderful event. I also thought it was fitting that we had an proclamation for the city clerks earlier this evening, because one of the things that we've been working hard on is working on some legislation that really is an outcropping of our clerk's efforts related to parts of our code. And he's worked very hard, and we finally got it across the finish line. And I would just like to take a moment to thank him for all his hard work. Doug, you did a wonderful job, and we're all very grateful for it. It was not easy. We put a lot of time into it. You put way more time into it. So thank you very much for all your work there. And that's all I have. Okay, we'll move on to bids. The bid we have this evening is approval of a bid for collection of disposal of residential and municipal trash recyclables to Ecology Services in the amount of $1,492,650. I'm sorry, I really botched that up. $1,492,650.26. The city administrator in malls.
Thank you, sir. The fiscal year 25 general fund budget includes funding for the collection and disposal of municipal trash and recycling from the city's residents. The city issued the request for bids on March 22nd, 2004, with bids due on April 17th, 2024. Bidders were requested to provide pricing for 3 years, fiscal year 25, 26, and 27, for an estimated quantity of 5,166 residents. What's happening tonight? 2 bids were received, with each firm's combined pricing for all 3 years. The first bid submitted was by Ecology Services Refuse and Recycling LLC, and it's for a total of $1,492,650.26. And the second submitted was by J&J Trash Services Inc., and for a total of $2,515,635.36, both for the 3-year contract period. City staff have evaluated references in the bid from Ecology Services Refuse and Recycling in the total amount as indicated, and finds it acceptable with regard to the city's needs. It should be noted that Ecology Services has successfully bid the city's trash and recycling contract for the last 5 contract periods and has performed satisfactorily during that time. Work under this contract will begin on July 1st, 2024. As we mentioned, the fiscal year 25 budget proposal includes adequate funding for this project. Therefore, staff recommends that the mayor and common council accept the unit prices bid by Ecology Services Refuse and Recycling LLC of Columbia, Maryland, and execute a contract in the amount of $1,492,650.26 for the collection and disposal of the city's recycling and trash, residential trash and recycling, as further described in the attached bid, and authorize the mayor's execution of the associated contract. I will say that, as indicated, Ecology Services is the current hauler for our trash and recycling, and it's indicated that they will keep the schedule that we currently have.
Correct.
Which is a big benefit to the city, in addition to being the lowest price. That concludes the staff report.
Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and get a motion on the table, and if we want to have any discussion, we can do that afterwards. So is there a motion to approve this bid?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve the bid.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. We have a second by Ms. Gilbert. Okay, is there any discussion relating to the bid? Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor of approving the bid, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? The ayes have it, and the bid is awarded.
Thank you, sir. I want to just take a quick moment. We've got Steve Stromberg, our superintendent of the streets department. This is the first bid that he's put together without the assistance of the public works director. So thank you, Steve, for your assistance.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're quite relieved that it did stick with that. So, that didn't have to take place.
Exactly.
Nobody wants their trash days.
That's right.
No.
Believe me, we would have been very. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to ordinances and resolutions. We have two resolutions before us this evening. And the first one is adoption of annexation plan resolution number 2405. Annexation number 79, a resolution of the city of Westminster adopting the annexation plan for annexation number 79. Director of Community and Planning Development.
Thank you. And the information I'm providing actually is for the second resolution, 2402. So I'll be covering both with this report. On February the 12th, the Mayor and Common Council introduced Annexation 79, Annexation Resolution 2402, including the annexation plan for Annexation 79 to begin the annexation process. Pursuant to Annotated Code of Maryland, after the introduction, the annexation resolution and plan were provided to Carroll County, who then subsequently forwarded the annexation resolution and plan to Maryland Department of Planning. On March 8th, 2024, the Maryland Department of Planning did forward its review comments to the city, as well as on March 21st, 2024, the Board of County Commissioners provided discussed the annexation plan and subsequently provided their comments, documenting their review process and comments. There's no substantive comments that would affect the annexations from moving forward. On April 18th, 2024, the City's Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on Annexation 79. The Planning and Zoning Commission forwarded Annexation 79, including the resolution and the annexation plan, to the City of Westminster Mayor and Common Council with a favorable recommendation. No changes have been made to the annexation resolution as introduced, and staff has not received any public comment regarding the annexation number 79. Annexation Plan Resolution 2405 is consistent with the annexation plan as introduced and provided to Maryland Department of Planning and Carroll County Commissioners. And with that, Department of Community Planning and Development recommends that Mayor and Common Council first adopt Annexation Plan Resolution 2405, approving the annexation plan for Annexation 79, followed by the Mayor and Common Council adopting Annexation Resolution 2402, approving Annexation 79. And that completes my report. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Depot. Let's go ahead and get it on a motion. Thank you very much. So,
I'll make a motion.
make a motion for 2405.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to approve 2405. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Huff with the second. Is there any discussion related to 2405? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor of passing 2405 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution has passed. Now we'll move on to resolution number 24-02. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Ms. Gilbert. Ms. Gilbert with the motion, Mr. Huff with the second. Any discussion related to 2402? Hearing none, we'll move on with the vote. All in favor of passing 2402, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and 2402 is passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hearing unfinished business. I'm not aware of any unfinished business that's before the mayor and council. Is anyone else aware of any? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. I have no new business as an item on the agenda this evening. Does anyone have any new business that I'm not aware of? Hearing none, we'll move on to departmental reports. Ms. Impulse.
Thank you, sir. We'll start with the Public Works Department. I'm happy to report, as you may have seen during the wine stroll, that the Main Street project has moved past the intersection at Route 27. I know we're all excited about that. And again, I want to thank the Public Works staff for your assistance in the wine stroll. It was such a great event. The city looked so good. And that's because of all the hard work from the Public Works Department. So thank you for that. You'll notice Ms. Gruber's not here tonight, so I don't have a report for the Recreation Department other than to echo the same comments to that department. Such a big lift to put those events on. Thankfully, the weather was good because, as I've mentioned before, it's the second big lift to come up with a backup plan and a backup plan and a backup plan. So I want to thank that department. So we will move on to the Housing Department. Mrs. Brown.
Thank you. Good evening. Just a couple of highlights. The first is our waiting list is now at 634 as of today. We had currently, as of the end of March, we had 289 vouchers under lease. We are currently administering 14 vouchers on behalf of the county. And last month, we terminated 3 participants. 2 we terminated for program violation, and 1 unfortunately had to be terminated because of that. And that's all I have to report. I'll answer any questions that council may have.
Are there any questions for the Housing Department? Hearing none, we will move on to IT Department. Chief Problem Solver, Mr. Moore.
I do not have a report tonight, but I have for any questions you have.
Mr. President, are there any questions for IT Department? Hearing none, we will move on to Planning Department. Mr. Depot.
Thank you. On April 18th, the Planning and Zoning Commission, which I already mentioned, held a public hearing on annexation 79. They also reviewed and approved site plan S-23-9 to reconstruct the Harry Stone Pavilion at McDaniel College, paving existing gravel driveway and parking with handicap spaces, which I believe everybody has had a chance to take a look at tonight. And on May 7th, the Board of Zoning Appeals is scheduled to hear case 2403, an application by Shepherd staff for 30 Carroll Street, zone R7500 residential zone, requesting approval of a special exception for a social club, fraternal organization, and community meeting hall, including variance requests to side, rear, and lot width. And I'm available for any questions you may have.
Are there any questions for the Planning Department? Mr. President, thank you for your comments about the city clerk related to the elections legislation. Tonight, we have our attorney Karen Ruck with us, who worked on the entirety of that legislation. So I also want to take a moment to thank her for her efforts. It's a very big document, as you all know, and took quite a bit of time and effort on her part as well. So thank you, Karen.
She also had to sit by and listen to us yammer on about it for hours on end as well. So thank you for that.
Also noted.
We will move on to the Finance Department. As I mentioned, the audit is an enormous lift every single year. It's a bigger lift when we are slightly delayed because of having to go to bed and get a new auditing company, which is what happened this year. So we're already a little behind the 8 ball. So again, I want to thank Ms. Rogers for her efforts there, as well as the efforts to put the budget together. We will have that for you in a short amount of time. Did I take all of your items? I'm sorry.
No.
Ms. Rogers.
Thank you, Ms. Impulse. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just want to thank publicly SB and Company for their partnership for this audit. It was a good audit for us as far as just a working relationship with them. I didn't get to say goodbye to them, but I just want to publicly thank them. And thank you for accepting their bid when we put that forward. So with that, we are now gearing up in the Finance Department. We wanted to get through tonight, but we'll be talking with the auditors probably this week or early next week about when they'll be back out in the field to start the preliminary audit work for fiscal 24 that we're almost through. That will help us have an easier lift when we get to the final portion of the audit. After fiscal year end, they can get a lot of their testing done and out of the way this spring. So we look forward to that. And that's the end of my report.
I think our auditing firm was at Weinstraw, had a booth at Weinstraw, because I'm almost certain I got a chip clip. Don't think I realized that.
I missed it.
Yeah. All right, so we will end tonight, as we always do, with the police department. I want to thank the police department for their efforts as well. We had a lot of staff out on Saturday for the Weinstraw. And I think everyone was really happy, as the mayor indicated, everyone was really happy to see the officers. So, to those that are listening, thank you for participating and for working the event. And you, Chief, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. we ended up charging a group of 4 juveniles they were all reported as runaways, and they went on a multiple offense streak for about 3 or 4 days. Most serious being breaking into the old firehouse building at 66 East Main Street. So we caught them on the second night coming out and charged them with all the offenses that we could link them to. Most of them being fairly minor, but nonetheless, it was definitely a short run. So we are working with Department of Juvenile Services and our state's attorney's office to hold them accountable for some of the damage they did and for the victims of these crimes. And that's all I have for my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Sam, also, I have one item I'd like to discuss with the chief briefly. First of all, that's great news. I know that's they probably been related to some other things we probably don't even know they were related to. So hopefully it'll Havin will do his thing and hold them as accountable as he can, I guess. Chief, we've had a couple of instances, at least 1 or 2 that I'm aware of, where we've had some kids running around. I'm assuming they're kids, but I don't actually know that. On dirt bikes, I don't know if it's 1 or 2 or a couple. I know they've been at City Park at least once. I'd just like to touch base with you on that a little bit and see kind of, I know you're aware of this, but just wanted to make sure we're on top of it and that we're doing something about that. It's not just being.
Absolutely. Yes, we are aware and we're diligently working on it. It's a combination, I think, of juveniles and adults.
Okay.
And we have a plan in place, so hopefully that'll come to fruition and will be a deterrent for that continued type of activity.
Outstanding. Last thing we want to be is like Baltimore City, where they've got these roving all the gangs of them causing all kind of havoc. So it's good. I'm confident that you are on top of it and that you'll put an end to it. So thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say. For the Chief.
That concludes the departmental reports.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I shut my computer down and I forgot the meeting's not over yet. So I'm gonna wing the very ending of it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do it by memory. I'm just so used to just shutting the computer at the end of council comments. You don't need it after that. I'm not gonna try to fire it up now. So that concludes the meeting. Now we'll move to citizen comments. So we do allow citizens to comment here at the meeting. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and we'll officially close the meeting. So thank you all for coming this evening, and the meeting is adjourned.